Hey there, how's it going? Well, it's about getting water again. It looks like I'm doing videos every time I get water. I don't know, I feel like I'm overdoing it. I don't want to get a fat head. Or I don't want to get full of myself. Ew, that's dangerous, maybe. Anyway, maybe it's just a thing. It could be a phase. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of Father Ted clips, and of course I love Mrs. Doyle the most. Mrs. Doyle, what are we having for dinner? Oh, Father, do you like pheasant? Oh, Mrs. Doyle, I love pheasant. That's good, Father, because what we're having loves pheasant too. It's my favorite one. One of my favorites from Father Ted. And there's so many, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so we're up here. We're having gorgeous, gorgeous weather right now. Sunny, sunny, sunny. I got stuck in a huge rainstorm in Chiang Mai yesterday. I was off to practice kendo at the university there. Got stuck in a big storm. I have a raincoat, but I still got leaks. Anyway, that was pretty exciting. So I'm going to have to adjust my hat here. Not sure about it. Anyway. Okay, what was I thinking about today? Oh, water, getting water, got the water. The usual. I guess I'm thinking a lot about the interviews with Wolfgang. And because Wolfgang sent me a list of questions he wanted to ask. And those were the questions he read out on the interview. It's really good. Anyway, but at the end it says, what do you advise to people? We ended up going with listening, and it was really Wolfgang's extrapolated that from what we were talking about, and that was excellent. How can you? I don't know, but in general, so that was a great tie-in. Worked out great. It's too bad it. Anyway, I'm not going to mention the who cannot be named forevermore. Anyway, oh. But I was thinking of something recently about comfort. I'm not a big Bjork fan, really. I mean, she does interesting things. It just, to me, sounds always just the same, which is fine. But anyway, she's really super interesting. But there was some line about the lust for comfort. Something about it being a problem. But if I were to give advice to someone, I would say try not to get too comfortable with being comfortable, you know? Because it's so relative. It's so relative. Okay, here's an example. Okay, I'll do the example, but first I'm going to say it's really easy to go from something that's not super comfortable into something that's really comfortable. But going the other direction is harder. It's really harder. Really hard. So, like for instance, when I was on my long ride, that a particular instance, I was out for maybe 2-3 weeks. The first year, and the first year, you know, I mean, I wasn't living. I was always already in a tent and everything, but of course, going into a long ride, the level of difficulty, physical and emotional, mental, whatever, is just that much bigger, right? It's pretty intense at first, especially. Anyway, so 2-3 weeks out in the prairies. A big factor here was water, because water is sometimes hard to find, right? And a lot of the water I would get would be in sloughs, which are like little ponds and things. And some sloughs are good, and some aren't. I remember I was watering my horses on a slough, and some guy passed by like 3 times, and he finally stopped. And he came up to us being me and the 2 horses, and said, "Oh, you shouldn't water your horses here. Because look at this guy, he's a canola farm." He says he really uses too many pesticides and stuff. It's really dangerous, actually. So, that was a great lesson. He said, if you're watering your horses in sloughs, try to pick a hayfield or something, because hayfields are usually just grow, right? They're not really, well, I don't even know if they would put any junk on them. That was really great advice. So anyway, that's the setup. But this huge storm was coming in. I knew it was going to be a 3-day storm, one of those huge storms that hits the prairies. with flooding, all that shit. And you just don't, anyway. So I dropped by a corner place and talked to someone there. And he said, and I said, oh, I need to find a place to camp for a few days. And I could have camped at his place, I think, but it just was, he says, it's not really, this isn't going to be a good spot for you, because it doesn't have land, right, for the horses. He says, we should go down the road a couple kilometers to Grant Devine's place. And he'll probably welcome you with open arms, you know. So I did, and the storm was coming in, but it wasn't raining yet, and his ranch manager came up, and he was driving out, and I just told him what I was doing. I said, this is the thing, people don't get it. Well, people in the prairies get it. But I just said, listen, I'm on a long ride, I'm going out for the summer, and who knows how far I'll go. And this guy's a horse guy too, as many of them are, big horse guy. And he said, he just sort of nodded his head. He says, I'll show you where to go. That was it, right? So the first night I camped out in a little paddock. My horses were there too, and that was fine, but the rains came and I got soaked, and anyway, it's a long story. But anyway, the next day, Grant's wife, Chantal, I think. Grant Devine was Grant was the premier of Saskatchewan. This is like the Prime Minister of Saskatchewan I was talking to. Anyway, so his wife comes up and says, oh, you can't stay here, this is ridiculous. Oh, and then the next day I stayed in the sort of barn, and there was a little cot, and she took pity on me. And so, you need to be somewhere better. We have a guest house, why don't you come there? I was like, okay. So I do that, and my horses, I guess I couldn't, anyway, my horses were fine. They had lots of grass and stuff to eat, and we just all camped out. But the thing was, and this is the connection with water, is after 3 weeks of hauling water, and you know, I was filtering my water or boiling and carrying water too, right? Which this isn't, what I'm doing here isn't a new thing for me. So I mean, I wasn't, you know, hiking 4 kilometers during the ride. Usually I'd camp near somewhere with water, but often be a bit of a hike to it. Anyway, so the first thing I do is I go in there and I put my stuff, you know, my clothes, my little bag of clothes and things. And the first thing I do is get a glass of water, and I turn on the tap. And it was this incredible feeling. I just was like, oh my God, it's a miracle. Running water. You know, sometimes I rant on and on about drinking water out of a tap that's purified, and the incredible, you know, luxury of that, right? I mean, their water's from a well, right? So of course it just comes out of tap. That's a different situation. But anyway, whatever. But it was quite amazing. Just go, wow, it was incredible. Oh my God, the luxury of it. So I was there for like 3 days, probably. So I was probably camped there for 5 days in total. And I had food, right? So I was fine. But they invited me over for lunch. He said, do you want a shower? I went, oh, sure. You know, I had to have a shower once a month, whether you need it or not, kind of situation. Anyway, oh, sure, hot shower. Whew. It was spring, late spring, like spring. So it's warmish. But it can be quite cold there, right? Like during those big storms, you could get hypothermia even in the warm season. Anyway, hot shower. Oh, she invites me over for lunch. We're sitting there and talking. Have a shower, then we have lunch. And I'm sitting there eating. eat. This is my memory of it. I don't know if exactly what was going through Chantal's head. And so she's sitting there watching me going, just eat. eat. This was everything they put in front of me, I was eating. I probably ate 3 times what they ate. And she's looking at me going, you know, Grant, I think we have some salmon that really needs eating up. So she brings out this big salmon that they cooked the other day or something. Ate a big chunk of salmon. Anyway, it was such a beautiful memory, and they were such beautiful, beautiful people. Anyway, that was that was probably the first place I stayed, really, I would say. Yeah. Normally I didn't, oh, I'd have to get to my point first, then I'll tangent on. Those 5 days, and 3 of them in a bed, with a kitchen, all this stuff. Then stepping out again into the ride, knowing, of course I knew what was coming. I could feel the, can I do it? Of course I can do it, I've been doing it. But there's this trepidation that would creep in. It's a really interesting feeling. You know, a day or two later I was back in my paradise, right? It wasn't really an issue. So, I guess with the comfort thing, I think it's really good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. What we would consider uncomfortable from a kind of a modern industrial city type living, right? Where you have to sit on the ground and sleep on the ground. And I'm not saying put yourself in dangerous situations, although it's helpful to be in, this is tricky, I don't want to, but it's helpful to know, it's important to learn what can be risky and not, right? So that's, go camping or something. Try and be with someone, if you can, that knows, I guess. Anyway, but that would be some advice. Just get used to being uncomfortable. Because it's actually not uncomfortable. It's so much of a psychological thing, you know? Like where I live now, to me it's just so comfortable, but it is a middle ground, right? I think for a lot of people, a lot of people from the city that I know I have a lot of friends that really love it, right? Don't get me wrong. And a lot of people from Thailand have no issues at all, because people in Thailand sit and eat on the floor all the time. Even, it's not a big deal, even if you live in a city, you know what I mean? It's pretty common. But from the people from the West, Canada, wherever, it can be. Although it's not always. Other friends came from the West that were totally fine. So anyway, whatever. Just ignore what I'm saying there. Anyway. So for me right now, it's kind of this beautiful mix of not being completely luxurious, but comfortable and all that stuff. It's a beautiful, but I feel really lucky is what it comes down to. Anyway, but I was going to say about the ride, now it seems to be a chat about the ride more than anything, is that kind of interchange with people happened all the time. Like I would go usually 2 weeks between towns, right? I was going off the main roads, right? So it was, yeah, oops, mosquitoes. Right, so I wasn't meeting people all the time, and mostly although I slept a couple times in people's homes, mostly I preferred to sleep in my tent because it actually was easier for me, and it essentially was my home that I had on my back, so it was always easy for me to sleep. Nowadays, it's really, sleeping in a boxy kind of room for me is very, very difficult. I guess I can, but like now where I live, my room, the bedroom area is upstairs. It's got a roof and walls and everything, but the windows are just opened with shutters, and I never close them, ever close them. So it's always open, and there's no glass or anything, right? So it feels a bit like a big wood tent up there, and so for me it's a really nice feeling. Anyway, yeah, so I met lots of people here and there as I traveled, right? And so much wonderful, almost pretty much to a person. The generosity and kindness was so beautiful. A couple times there's someone near, jeez, where was that? I guess near Black Diamond, who refused me camping even though he had a lot of land. He seemed like an asshole. And his wife was there, who seemed more open, but anyway, whatever. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, but then I met some people just down the road back a bit who are awesome, right? So that just happened over and over again. It's beautiful. And of course, lots of wild country that I traveled through and all that. Yeah, how many minutes? Oh, 14 minutes already, Jesus. Right, so comfort, long rides. There was something else I was going to mention. Oh, what's that? It's a tick! Whoa! Get away from me, you little bastard. I don't see a lot of ticks here, actually. Can we get it? That's gonna be hard to see, I imagine. Anyway, there's a tick on that leaf. Yeah, I've never pulled a tick off me here. I'm for sure there's ticks, for sure, because dogs get them. I never get them on me, which is nice. Oh, so... Oh, what? Yeah, advice, comfort, Wolfgang. Kendo. I guess, Jesus, I have nothing to say. Nothing more to say. There's something ticking at the back of my head. That's why I'm just sitting here. Pretty interested. Actually, I should switch it so you can. I should switch it so you can look at something different while I ponder this and listen to the sounds. Hey, I don't know. I guess that's okay. Hey, okay, I'm just getting back to the part of the village that I live in. I'm on the road. Hardly ever do videos on the road. But another thought came to me on the whole comfort thing that maybe is a good idea. And that is, I remember a friend of mine when I was in Banff, a friend of mine who grew up in northern BC, he said, I think that all parents should teach their children how to be hungry. You know what I mean? I know in this day and age that would be like, get your children taken away. He says, no, I think children need to learn what it's like to be hungry. Let's adjust this a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like they need to learn that you cannot eat for a day and everything's okay. That's another thing that people get very panicky if there's no food, right? And that really rang true for me. I mean, I've certainly experienced stuff like that, and more so since that time, just because of the way things went, I think that's a really good... Hey, สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีไหมค่ะฉันทำวิดีโอสวัสดีค่ะโชคดีค่ะบ๊ายบายค่ะ Oh, that's the man that carries the garbage, but I haven't quite figured out how to do that. Hey! I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. I usually take my garbage down to my friend's place down the mountain. Anyway, hard to have any garbage anyway, so whatever. So going hungry is a good thing too. See, it's so hard to do this stuff and not get judgy, right? Because there's all this stuff about food, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. Oh, be vegan, don't be vegan, you know, whatever. And I always think, first and foremost, in that discussion should be, first of all, if someone puts food in front of your table, puts food in front of you, eat it and be grateful and thank them, right? There's going to be a time, and it won't be too long, I think, where when someone gives you, say you're a vegan or something, and someone puts a big thing of lamb in front of you, you eat it, be grateful and say thank you. It may not be what you eat all the time, that's fine. There's going to be a time when food is more scarce. I'm not talking about mass starvation here, I'm just saying more like it usually was, you know what I mean? Like food was not something you just went to a store and bought. There's something behind it, all that stuff. I think that all spins in the same world, you know, with comfort, with comfort. I guess maybe it's just taking things for granted. Can't really do that. There's some kids playing. I gotta find them. Let's see if we can. So this is going to be a long video after all. Just what I love to do. Okay. Yeah, actually I'm going to switch it so you can see what the village is like. Yeah, I hardly ever do videos of the village. This is just the section I live in, which is the lowest part of Mekampong. It's called Bang Nok. It's quite small, but they've been building some homestays lately. Let's see, so I hear the kids playing in the water. Well, it's a hot day, that's why, you know. It's a hot day. There they are. How's that for perfection? What a life. สวัสดีค่ะ สนุกใจไหม เอ๊ Oh yeah. Yeah, and look at this wall. My friends Kun Si and Kun Hai made this. Two women that live here, and Kun Hai's coming up. So beautiful, the work they do. Hey, สวัสดีค่ะ สบายดีไหมค่ะดีฉันไปดุนเล่นดุนบาร์วันนี้ฉันเอาน้ำดื่มใช่ไหมฉันทำวิดีโอฉันอยู่ที่นี่สวยใช่ไหมใช่ทำวิดีโอได้ไหมคะทำวิดีโอได้ไหมคะไม่ได้โอเคใช่ไม่เป็นไร
เซลฟี่
ใช่สวยใช่ไหม
สวยเนาะสวยดี
ใช่
เห็นนี่สวยเนาะ
ใช่สวยมากฉันอยู่ที่นี่
มีความสุขไหม
มีความสุขมากเลย
ชอบใช่ไหม
ชอบมากใช่ขอบคุณค่ะโอเคแล้วพักกันใหม่ค่ะแล้วพักกันใหม่เจ้า
ได้พักกันใหม่เจ้า
Okay, that was Kun Hai, and she helped build this wall. She said my dive video, I don't think it meant she didn't want to be videoed, I think it meant she doesn't make videos. I haven't quite figured out how to ask if I can video. Yeah, so here we go. My friends Doug and Kun Ah live here and their homestays up top, and my neighbors Kun Tip and Kun Pon live here with their daughter Bai Fun. And this is a little homestay they just made this year. It's not too busy. They're not too busy right now. It's quite. I think Doug and Ah are busy, but it's really quiet right now. Yeah. So they've built this really beautiful That's Awe and Doug's little place up there where people can stay. Of course, every house has a spirit house. And this is Tits and Awe and iPhone spirit house. Yeah. So yeah, I just had the greatest, coming down, my friends that live kind of where they're relatives of Pisutam, and they live right where I hit the road from the trail to the water. So I forgot her name, I keep forgetting. It's hard for me to remember the names. It doesn't matter. She invited me over and to show me her new, ooh, there's something here. Oh, what is it? What is it? Where are you? Oh, there. Oh yeah. Oh, Chai. Well, I don't know if you got a look at that. Lizard. Saw a lot of lizards on the walk going up. Like a couple of lizards, some big roly-poly bugs, that sort of thing. So now I'm walking into where the land that I live on is. I made this little bridge because this bit here, when it's raining, becomes a stream. Yeah, so I dropped by her place and showed me this new section she made. So beautiful. And then we sat down and she gave me some durian, another thing with rice that I can't remember the name of, some jackfruit, some water, and we ate a little spoonful of honey at the end. And oh, it was delicious. And then she gave me a little jar of honey, and she was just drying some miang, some tea, cha, I mean. So she gave me a bundle full of tea. Amazing. Just amazing. Yeah. Well, here I am at my place. Like, this is where I hang out my laundry generally. Oh, I should... Well, if it's not raining, I don't. That's pretty good, I guess. And this is the little... Oh, here I'm growing... Fat mayo, it's called. I try to grow things here. It's really difficult because I don't know. I'm more of a hunter than a grower, right? But anyway, it was hard to grow. I think it's the soil is too acidic in jungle type ecosystems. But the fat mayo, everyone grows it here. And where are we? This is what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And you just stick them in the ground and it grows up. So now it's growing over. I made this thing out of strips of bamboo. So now it's growing over, so it's becoming like a little roof. And this is the little path that I walk along. Yeah, okay. And this is the stream. So now it's evolved into more of a daily thing of my life. So this is the little stream that runs right by the house. This is what I live with. As soon as I saw this stream, I went, yep, I want to live here. Looking back at the village. So this house that I'm in is a little bit away from the main part of this village. There's like 3 or 4 sections of the village that stretch up along the road because it's so steep. So the next section I walked through was one part of Bagnon. There's my motorbike, which is how I get around, and it's very efficient on fuel. Although it uses fuel, I spend maybe 100 baht at the most per week on fuel, so I don't ride it too much, but when I do, 100 baht's like, I don't know, if you're American it's like $3. That's not too much. And yeah. Ugh. And look at these beautiful, as you enter towards the house, these beautiful, beautiful plants. And they keep growing more and more. And there's a mango tree. There's some mango trees back there. Mangosteen, what they're called in English. A couple back there that have fruit, but this one doesn't. Probably not sunny enough. This home's surrounded by. Here's the entrance to the house. And the deck. I guess we'll just go and I'll finish off with the deck that I spend most of my, if I'm not out traipsing about. Yep. A little thing. And there's under the house. You see it's raised up. At the back there, it's like a foot above the ground, but once you get up here, it's quite high. And that's actually quite good because There's not so many mosquitoes and stuff up here. Yeah, so this is the deck I live on. I just keep my speakers here. I never put them in. If I go away for a week or something, I'll just tuck them inside, I guess. But not that I would ever worry about someone stealing them. It's not that kind of culture here. I got some propane tanks for cooking. This is the beautiful Spirit House, where every morning I, do a little ceremony. Mostly kind of to give thanks for everything. Gratefulness, all that. Thank the forest spirits, hey? You should do that. I recommend it. Yeah, so that's it. This is the door I go in, and now I'm gonna go in, and that's that. So hope everyone's doing great. Okay? Ciao.